Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I am pretty excited to be joined by two rock stars that I met over the course of the last year, and I'm really excited to dive into this event, which is really stating your GTM isn't working, and what are you going to do about it? And so I'm pretty stoked here today. Um, so why don't we take a quick second to do a couple things? If you're watching this on LinkedIn, go ahead and add any comments that come up throughout the session on the comments wall, I should say, and we'll get to that. So without further ado, Jonathan, why don't we kick us off and just kind of give you or give us rather a quick intro?
Awesome. Thanks so much. Okay. Super excited to be here. To give you a little bit of context on who I am, spent the last 10 plus years in B2B product marketing across a wide range of industries and started at my own consulting practice the last year. So do go-to-market consulting for B2B SaaS startups.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Joshua, how about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Jorge. Excited to be here. Jonathan's a bit of a hard act to follow in terms of experience. My name's Josh. I'm the owner and principal consultant at AHA Research. So I have been in a number of research roles over my career, working with product and go-to-market teams on understanding essentially kind of their buyers and customers. And over the last year or so, I started also my own consultancy where I do win-loss interviews and helping B2B, growth stage B2B SaaS companies better understand why they're winning and losing deals and what they can do about it, and ultimately and hopefully start winning more of them. So that's a bit of an intro. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here and chat with these two gentlemen.
Awesome. Well, for the folks out there, as we mentioned, we're going to be really digging into how to conduct a GTM audit. And so the goal here is that you'll be able to understand how to prepare and execute this audit. So let's talk about the determining piece. Who are you targeting? John, why don't you kick us off?
Sure. So when you're doing a go-to-market audit, one of the first things you need to figure out is who is my target audience, right? Most product marketers approach that by looking at two pretty distinct categories, which is ICP, right? Ideal customer profile. Who are the best type of customers for your business? And then the other part is personas, right? Within those type of customers, for the B2B space, let's say it's a software company, right? Okay, fantastic. What are the specific personas within that software company that you're going to target? Maybe it's a head of sales, maybe it's a head of marketing. And the reason why it's important to figure this out when you're doing a go-to-market audit is if you don't have that really tightly scoped, then you're essentially burning money when you're throwing out ads, when you're doing outreach, when your sales team is reaching out to customers or to prospects, because you don't know who you should be targeting. So really critical to get that right, to make sure that all of your marketing efforts are going to the right audience that's going to get value from your service or your product, and also to make sure that they stay with your product over the long run, right? You don't want to target the wrong type of customer, then they churn after 3 months or 6 months because they realize, this isn't really for me. So when you're thinking about kind of how to target those customers, or figure out who your ICP is or who those personas are, one thing you can do, assuming you already have revenue, is look at your CRM, right? So you can do a CRM audit, and you can actually dig into the data and figure out, okay, let me look at my new customers first. What are the type of customers that have the shortest sales cycles? If the sales team was able to close, let's say, in 60 days instead of 80 or instead of 120. And of those customers, which ones were the ones that had the highest ACV, right? The highest average contract value. So did we have some that sold, $10,000 deals versus 5,000? So you can look at a bunch of other things for your current customers, like maybe renewal rates, maybe fastest growth, right? How many of those are, they start off with one product and then they continuously cross-sell. You can look at things like NPS, CSAT, even product adoption for your current customers. So again, I would start with that CRM audit as kind of a foundational piece to look at the numbers, look at the data, and get that information as to who your ICP truly is. Josh, what would you say on the kind of more qualitative side?
Yeah, I think there's a balance that you probably need to strike between ideal customers and your actual customers, the customers that are coming through. And so I think, a lot of the work that I do, it's understanding, okay, who's coming through your door, who is part of your sales pipeline. And in some instances, and that's done through win-loss, interviews. That's what I do. There's also the other side of that coin where you haven't got a seat at the table, right? You're not, these customers or your ideal customers perhaps aren't part of your sales pipeline. And that's a bit of a tricky one because, you ideally want to attract more of them, but you're not able to learn from them through these win-loss interviews because they're not going through your pipeline. So there's ways around that, and you can reach out to and recruit people that fit your ideal customer profile and speak to them about what they're currently doing and why that's not working, and then hopefully exploit those things. But I think you've got to look at ideal, you've got to look at what's in your pipeline, reality, and then also your actual customers as well, and strike a balance between those three things. And I typically do that through, qualitative data collection, but there are many other kind of approaches that I think some of which you've already touched on.
For sure.
Well, let's talk a little bit about, sort of the next step in this process, as you all have outlined this. What are you solving for them, right? For this audience, and Josh, maybe you can kind of take over here.
Yeah, this seems to be one of those kind of topics that everyone feels like they understand, but find it really hard to implement. And this is specifically focusing on the problem. And that's a very generalized statement, but a lot of companies really struggle to focus in on what is the actual problem that they solve and what are the benefit that they provide their customers or users or ideal customers, buyers, whoever it might be. I think that's just virtue of the fact that, especially early stage startups, it's your baby, right? The solution is your baby, but ultimately what people are buying is a solution to a problem they have and the benefits that they get from that solution, the features and functionality. And it's not to say the solution itself isn't important, but it's secondary to some of those things that I talked about. So you really need to understand so that you kind of communicate those things to prospects, buyers, and customers so that it draws them in. And it's important because it's going to be used throughout your messaging, positioning, sales enablement efforts. What other things, Jonathan, am I missing here in terms of like where you would see descriptions of problems and benefits?
Yeah, I mean, what your customers are telling you, even in the sales process itself. So what they're bringing up with your sales team, once they are customers, what they're telling your customer success team, right? So what are the things they're bringing up? And then also from their product ideas. So a lot of times they have a specific problem and they'll go to your ideas portal if you have one and add in an idea for solving a problem that they have that's kind of like ancillary or very close to the features or the solutions you already provide.
Yeah. So like that, the previous topic we just talked about, there's a kind of a few phases here that I like to think about. There's the upfront expectation of what it is you're solving for buyers and prospects, and to get an understanding of that, it's one of the core things that I do through the win-loss interviews that I conduct. But you have to understand that is the expectation of what this solution is going to solve for them. And that's going to come through some of those assets that I talked about, right? And so you can speak